So I just came across this financial report on inequality. It says that since 2020, or the beginning of the pandemic, the 5 richest people in the world have seen their fortunes double, while almost 5 billion people have seen their wealth fall. So I really want to know what is it that these guys are doing. And I'm going to do that by dissecting how they invest. And that is essentially the difference between us and the billionaires. I'm also going to look at how the rest of us invest in the same time.
Investors lost as much as $1 trillion.
And just for good measure, I'm also going to put in my finances. So this is the overall picture of 85% of my portfolio. You are the one watching this, don't judge me, okay? Oh God, my father's going to pick me. So since the beginning of the pandemic, which was 4 years ago in March of 2020, the total combined wealth of the billionaires was about $340 billion. As of November 2023, it shot up to about $869 billion. Now, even if you adjust for inflation, that's a total change of about 114%. In the same time period, the wealth of 60% of the population went down by about 0.2% or $20 billion. Now, this is a report which was conducted on people with an average net worth of $1.4 billion. I can't even fathom this amount of money. So I tried to understand what it is and came out with this. So this is the distribution of the investments of the billionaires. This is how a regular person invests in the West, and this is how I invest, which we'll see a little bit later at the end of the video. So let's talk about these two. An average person invests about 10% in cash, 25% in bonds, and 65% in stock. The billionaires invest 9% in cash, about 12% in bonds, and a measly 26% in stocks. Now there's a big chunk over here that I have not revealed, and that is essentially the difference between us and the billionaires. So this is what is called alternate investments, and these comprise of things like real estate, venture capital over here, and hedge funds. There are obviously more things over here like private equity, commodities, and other stuff, but the point that I'm trying to showcase is just see how diverse their portfolio is in comparison to how standard a general person investment portfolio is. But during my research, I found something very interesting, and it's got to do with the Indian investors. Now this was where I think I was completely taken aback, because in India, most of the investments goes to real estate, about 50%, which is a staggeringly obscure number. And next surprising tidbit is 15% of India invests in gold. The rest I would say is cash. Well, there was supposed to be one for funds. This is funds. And this 5% of everybody in India who invests in the stock market. Only a meager 5%. This was the most bizarre stats that I came to know. Only 5% of everybody in India who's investing is investing in stocks. That is a staggeringly low number. And it got me thinking, what kind of mentality does this reflect? Real estate and gold are two of those investments which are considered to be relatively safe. Cash is something that they have. Funds is something that people have warmed up to in recent times. But stocks, the most volatile of them, is still not accepted by the Indian investors, which is quite interesting. Because in comparison to the US, wherein more than 50% of the people invest in stocks, this 5% is very, very bizarre. So I tried to understand why that is the case, and I think I have a hypothesis. घर आ गया अम्मी। अच्छा अम्मी एक बात बताओ, आपके फ्रेंड सर्कल में भी कोई नहीं करता है ना स्टॉक मार्केट वगैरह सब?
नहीं, मैं तो तुम्हारे पापा को भी मना कर रही थी कि कहीं घाटा हो जाएगा तो फिर लॉस, बहुत दिक्कत होगा, पैसा कहाँ है।
बट आपको इतना फाइनेंशियल रिस्क टॉलरेंस इतना कम क्यों है? कब हुआ ये? So when I first started researching, I figured out that I should probably read some books. So I went through this and also this. Now, even though these books are quite nice, I couldn't really find my answer in them. Instead, I found it in this. So essentially what I was looking for was, how do people react to risk? and more specifically, risk aversion. So the author of this book divides it into two categories. There's risk aversion due to gain, and then there's risk aversion due to losses. ये ना spelling loss की हे भगवान ऐसा मत करना मेरे साथ. You are the one watching this, don't judge me, okay? So let's say we have a scenario wherein there is a 95% chance that you'll win 10,000 rupees. But if I tell you that there's a 100% chance that I'll give you 9,000 rupees, which one would you pick? I'm guessing you'll pick the 100% with the 9,000. Now this is due to the fact that even though the gain is more, the loss on the other side is massive. So if you take this lottery, you win either 10,000 rupees or you win nothing at all. And if you take this lottery, you have a sure shot 9,000 in your bank account. So there you are again being risk aversive, but due to a smaller gain. Now some people, like me, are going to take the first option. That's mostly because of the fact that we have a higher risk tolerance. Now similarly, if you put a situation in losses, there's a 5% chance that you lose 10,000 rupees. But if you pay, let's say 7,000 rupees, you can make sure that that 10,000 is never lost. This is essentially what insurance is. And this is essentially what lottery is. Two very simple mechanisms for our world, which teach us a lot about how we are towards risk.
रीजन तो ये भी है ना कि हमने कुछ किया नहीं, तो हमारे पास वो पैसा नहीं है, तो हम उस पैसे की वैल्यू जानते हैं ना. अगर मैं अर्न करती, मेरे पास पैसे रहता, तब थोड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस होता कि हाँ भाई अगर चला भी जाएगा तो मैं कर सकती हूँ ये चीजें, मैं फिर से दोबारा वो पैसा ला सकती हूँ.
So now I wanted to figure out just how many people are risk aversive and whether they are risk aversive towards gain or towards losses. Now this is a study which covers risk preferences from around the world, and I would have assumed that a country like India, which is conservative, which is generally risk aversive, would be ranking quite low in terms of risk aversiveness. But to be honest, it's quite average, at least in terms of gains and losses. But there's one parameter where India ranks above the rest, and that's risk aversions because of ambiguity. Now let me give you a bit of a scenario. Let's say there is a pot with 100 balls, out of which 30 balls are yellow and 70 balls are blue and red. Now let's say I give you two lottery options. Would you pick a scenario wherein you get $100 if you get one of the yellow balls, but if you don't, you get zero? The second scenario is, I will double your money, whatever amount it is, if you get a red ball. Let's say you put in $10 million, okay? I will double that, not me personally, but in this situation I will, and you'll get $20 million if you get this right. But given that this is the set of constraints, there is no mathematical chance of figuring out a probability. So this system is what we call ambiguous. My maths is better. So what can we do in a situation like this? How do we make a calculative decision? And we do that by trying to get more constraints. Maths is just as simple as that. Try and figure out more. In this particular scenario, we could have figured out, historically, we could have figured out what's been the case in a situation like this. Let's say historically, there have been more red balls than yellow balls. That makes my decision so much more easier. But for our context, this essentially means having more financial education. School में सब तो पढ़ी होगी ना, basic economics वगैरह सब चीज सब, कैसे investment करते हैं, कैसे बचाते हैं.
स्टॉक का कुछ चर्चा भी नहीं था. मैं पढ़ी थी, मुझे लगता है.
बिहार स्कूल में
था, मैं ली हुई थी.
वहाँ तो सोशल साइंस रहा होगा.
नहीं, इसके अलावा भी मैं ली थी, मुझे याद आ रहा है. मैं 10th में ली थी शायद, मुझे लग रहा है.
But वो आप पढ़ी होगी ताकि एग्जाम क्लियर कर सको, ऐसा. So the education system is not doing its job. That is an absolute shocker, isn't it? So most of us are left with trying to understand all of this by ourselves. And that needs a lot of motivation. But it also needs one big factor, and that's financial tolerance. Now, some people have a very high financial tolerance, and some people have a very low financial tolerance. So I want to understand what are the factors that contribute to this. So financial tolerance is a very intrinsic quality of a person. It depends on what the circumstances were, how they were brought up, and what is their level of income for some things. It's a highly personal attribute.
ये तो शुरू से है, मतलब शुरू से, क्योंकि मैंने कभी जिंदगी में पैसे तो देखे नहीं बेटा. उतना तो मेरे पास पैसा था नहीं, हमेशा मतलब जब अपने पेरेंट के पास भी रहते थे तो भी वो भी बहुत ही मतलब लिमिटेड पैसे में रहते थे, जो जरूरत की चीजें थी वही मिलती थी हम लोगों को। कोई ऐसी चीजें तो था नहीं कि उनके पास ही बहुत ज्यादा पैसे थे, तो कपड़े वगैरह भी जो मिलते थे वो फेस्टिवल के टाइम में ही मिलते थे। अदरवाइज ऐसा नहीं कि अभी गए शिप्रा मॉल लेके आके, वो चीज नहीं, कभी उन चीजों थी नहीं। मतलब वो भी एक रीजन है कि मैं इसीलिए और भी इनसिक्योर हूँ कि पैसे रहना चाहिए, क्योंकि मैं वो कमियां देखी हूँ, तो फिर मुझे तो फील होती है ना चीज। और बाद में ना भी होती, अगर मैं जॉब वॉब करती तो मुझे वो फीलिंग थोड़ा मेरे से हट भी जाती, क्योंकि एक मेरे पास रहता वो चीज कि मैं कुछ अर्न करती हूँ, मेरे पास खुद का है। लेकिन वो भी नहीं है, तो वो इनसिक्योरिटी मुझे बढ़ने ही लगा, क्योंकि मैं डिपेंडेंट थी, डिपेंडेंट ही रही ना मैंने। मेरा अपना तो कुछ था नहीं। अगर तुम सोचो अपना मीन्स जो सेल्फ, अगर आदमी को कुछ मिलता है अपना, उसका थोड़ा अलग ही रहता है ना कि हाँ भाई हम भी कर सकते हैं, हमारे पास भी पैसा हम अर्न कर सकते हैं। तो अर्न तो हम कभी करे नहीं ना बेटा, तो वो चीज, वो पावर, वो एक कॉन्फिडेंस तो मुझे कैसे आए।
तो मम्मी, आपको नहीं लगता है कि ऐसा थोड़ा खुद का पैसा डाले इन सब जगहों पे, खुद से पैसा आएगा वहां से, तो आपको एक सेंस ऑफ फुलफिलमेंट लगेगा, अकम्प्लिशमेंट लगेगा कि हमने भी कमाया है एक तरीके से?
हाँ, लेकिन अब वो फिर कैसे, अगर नहीं हुआ तो
नहीं, गुड नाइट,
चल
गुड नाइट, गुड
क्या
नाइट,
ही करेंगे, चल।
बाय। Wow, that was a conversation and a half. I'm a little tired. I might need some energy, so I'll take a little break. Not sponsored by A&W, by the way, but this video is sponsored. So why don't you watch that while I finish this up? Hi, this video is sponsored by me. We have a small social media agency wherein we help creators begin to editing, motion design, scripting, hosting, and a lot more. We can also do VFX like you can see right now. It's a lot of fun. So if you would like to get your YouTube video, your podcast, your reel, or even your brand film made through us, please feel free to reach out to us over here, or maybe here, somewhere on the screen. Okay, can we ला सकते क्या भाई? हो गया? ए भाई, still got it. So now we know some of the factors that influence financial tolerance. But how do we attribute which factors contribute to a higher financial tolerance and which contribute towards a lower one? So I came across this study. So this took into account some of the attributes like age, gender, income, and through surveys tried to come to a conclusion of what makes somebody of high financial tolerance. And the answer was quite interesting. So if you look at this table over here, they have this risk tolerance coefficient, or the higher the coefficient, the higher would be the ability of the person to tolerate more financial risk. So gender was quite high. Males are more financially tolerant than women, apparently. Younger people are financially more tolerant than older people. They've got less to lose. Occupation is quite a determinant, but the attribute that makes the people most financially tolerant is none other than materialism. Materialism for the win. I am so happy. I think I figured it out. I think I figured out why I'm like this. This is a revelation. This is like my Mejwani Headwani. What the fuck? It's my coming of age video, man. I think I figured it out. Now today is your lucky day because bestowed upon you is one of the greatest exponents of materialism. Hello. While I do agree that I have greater financial tolerance in comparison to other people, it is not because I am very financially sound and responsible, it is because I am stupid. And if you're watching this and thinking that you might be able to buy all of this by watching this video, you might be stupid as well. I should probably not call my audience stupid. So while financial tolerance can be a great attribute to have, but it's a power that can be misused very, very easily, as can be seen. So while I can go through a lot of financial up and downs, it's mostly because of the fact that I don't know what else to do. I was extremely ill-equipped and I had very little knowledge about financial markets and investments. But thankfully that can change, and that has changed in the past year or so. And I have made some better financial investment decisions, and I think it's time that I reveal them to you as well. Prepare to be disappointed then. I have only two kinds of investments. My biggest investment is in index funds. And this smaller chunk over here is Bitcoin. And that's it. That's all the investment that I have. I guess you want to know how much do I have. Of course you do. But before that, let me remind you of this very important number, 214%. This was the return on investment that was achieved on average by the billionaires since the start of the pandemic, which will be March of 2020. Do remember this because this is going to come in very clutch for the climax of the video. So the index fund that I invested in was the S&P 500, which is right here, as you can see. I made the investment somewhere around 2020, but the index was valued at 2,300 something. And as of right now, it is at about 5,505. And as of today, I have about 2,100 euros in this index fund invested by me. But just for the sake of transparency, I have also taken out about 1,300 euros from this index fund. And that was somewhere around here. So I'll put it right here. So currently in this index fund, if I minus the savings, I have about 4,106 euros. So this is the overall picture of 85% of my portfolio. Now, the only reason that I have been able to say this amount, given how materialistic I am, was because of the fact that I enabled my bank to put away a certain amount of money every single month without even asking me. For me, my salary was just a couple of €100 less than what it was. That's it. So the only reason that I have even this much with me right now is because I forgot that I have this much with me right now. The one time that I remembered, I quickly plugged out 1,300 euros, and I should not have done that. Anyway, let's talk about my other investment, which is cryptocurrency. Oh God, my father's gonna kill me. Crypto portfolio, which is again just one Bitcoin. Not one whole bit, it's just Bitcoin. Now this is a very interesting story. So in about July of 2017, I bought Bitcoin worth 100 euros. At that point of time, Bitcoin was at about 2,347. I sold this in March of 2022, wherein it was at about 37,000 something. Now, if you do the maths, you can see that it's a very crazy amount of return. How much did I actually have? This is the money that I have in my Coinbase account. So what happened? I bought some things, one big thing. I bought this thing, okay? I bought it by directly paying in Bitcoin. I just wanted to do that. It felt so cool that you can pay in Bitcoin directly. Felt nice. So on the recommendation of my friend, I bought this in July of 2017, and then I forgot that I had it. You see a trend? Just to recap, the billionaires made 214%. I invested 2,100 euros and I got 4,106 as of right now. Similarly, I invested 100 euros and I have 700 euros from the cryptocurrency. In total, I invested 2,200 euros and I got 4,800 approximately in return. If you happen to calculate just how much this is, it turns out to be somewhere around 220%. And you know what's less than 220%? 214%. I made more than the billionaires in percentage. I didn't even have to do anything. I just had to forget that I had money. And then my money made money almost as much as the billionaires. Actually more than the billionaires. So the point that I'm trying to put across is very simple. This is the Nifty index fund. Not index fund, but Nifty index. And you can access this through various index funds. If you had made a very modest purchase in March of 2020 and had you waited until today, you would have got somewhere around 24,531. Can you guess how much that is? You need to do at least this much math if you want to invest. I'll give you a hint. It's more than what the billionaires made. So I admit I made the premise of this video based on this report, which said that the billionaires doubled their income. But the fact of the matter is, almost anybody could have. What the investors needed essentially was just a little more financial education. And coming from me, that is quite the statement. So in this case, investing like a billionaire is investing like a regular person, sometimes even less than an average person. But it's different from becoming a billionaire. So if I think about my saving trends, it would take me about 4,400 years to become a billionaire. Actually, 44,000 years. Oh my God, what is happening? I can't read, I can't write. I did get an 8.5 in IELTS, by the way. I did. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I've trained 3 people. But on the flip side, let's say if we take somebody like Elon Musk, even if he spends $1 million every single day, it would take him 673 years to let go of all the money. So I'm not gonna be a billionaire. I don't really want to be, in a way. I am happy with just saving and forgetting. I've set up a few automations, but at least now I'm at a place where I'm a little more financially comfortable. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. This was quite fun making this, but I do hope that at the end of this, you realize that finance is mostly about understanding yourself and then the market. You figure one thing out, you'll figure the other thing as well. Thank you so much guys for watching the video. I had so much fun making this, like I mentioned in the video itself. So as you must have seen, I'm very much of an amateur in investment itself, but I wanted to make this video so that I can highlight the fact that whatever I have learned in the past few years, as bizarre as it may be, has still yielded good results. So anybody who can invest must try and learn about themselves, must try and learn about investments and then take part in it. It's one for the future, it's one that you will be thanking yourself few years down the line. And now since I've openly shared my portfolio with you guys, if you have any financial tips for me, do not let me know. Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. Please do let me know if you have anything which I'm doing completely wrong, which will be a lot of things, or if I'm doing something which is right. I would actually like to know more of that thing. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please do share this with anybody who would like to watch something like this or starting in his investment journey. And also do let me know your general thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you in a few days.